In this recording, we are just going to do a little extra bonus where we go over most importantly, the final steps of the quadratic formula when it comes to simplifying when you, maybe by accident or maybe on purpose, applied the quadratic formula to a quadratic equation that could have been solved by factoring. So that means that you'll end up with a perfect square underneath your radical, or the discriminant or the radicand of the quadratic formula will be a perfect square. And that means we can completely simplify it down to a rational number. And a rational number is something we can write as a ratio. An irrational number is something that you can't write it as a ratio, and commonly you would see it with a radical or square root or some kind of other radical symbol in the answer, in the final stages. So let's see what happens here. So in the previous video, you should have seen that I solved this by factoring. Now, what if we didn't realize it was factorable and we're like, let's just dive right in. Negative b plus and minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. All right. So what is a, b, and c all going to equal? So a is equal to 2, b is equal to 1, not x. Please don't say x. It's not x. Stop doing that. And c is equal to negative 10. Now let's fill these in nice and careful. X equals negative 1 plus and minus the square root of b squared, 1 squared is not 2, minus 4a times c all over, so all the way to the end of the radical and right after that equal sign, so including all that part right there, 2 times a, which is 2 times 2. Now, 1 squared, one squared is 1 times 1, so that's 1 minus, all right, I'm breaking this apart, but 2 times negative 10 is negative 20. 1 minus 4 times negative 20, 1 minus 4 times negative 20 over 4. So from here, I'm just going to scooch over to here, okay? X equals negative 1 plus minus the square root. 1 minus 4 times negative. Negative and negative, this negative 4 and this negative 20 becomes plus or positive 80. So it's 1 plus 80. A lot of you in this situation will do minus 80 and you'll get negative 79 under your radical. You got to get this right, okay? If AC is negative, it ends up being a plus sign in the radical. If A times C is negative, if one of them is negative, either A or C, not both, and not neither, if one of the A or the C is negative, it becomes B squared plus 4AC, if you will, okay? Write it down, memorize it. I don't know what to tell you. You got to know that, okay? You can stop messing that up. Over 4, X equals negative 1 plus, what's 80 plus 1? 81, of course. Gosh, if only I knew the square root of 81, this would be so much easier. You do. What? You're so smart. Negative 1 plus minus 9 over 4. Now, could you leave it like that? I guess. Is that weird? Yeah. How do we separate them? You're going to have two answers. Negative 1 plus 9 over 4. So this is what I mean whenever I say like this is two formulas in one. Usually we just leave it because you can never fully simplify it. Here we're not going to leave it. Negative 1 plus 9 is the same as 9 take away 1. That equals 8 over 4, which equals 2. Then the next answer, let's get this stuff out of the way here. The next answer we're going to deal with is going to be when it is negative 1 minus 9, because we have two answers right here. Negative 1 minus 9 over 4. Don't lose the negative. Don't forget what you wrote. That's going to equal negative 10. Negative 1 and negative 9. You add them up and make your answer negative. Over 4 equals negative 5 over reduced by 2, reduced by 2, 2. So if you see, using the quadratic formula, we got the answers negative 5 over 2, and we got the answer positive 2, which are the same answers we got in the previous video when we solved by factoring. It's just like a little awkward finishing up that quadratic formula, simplifying, and guys, this, you gotta get it right. Okay, so if you're happy and you know it, thumbs up. If not, thumbs down. Click through for the next example, which I think is one where you end up using quadratic formula and you couldn't factor it. So go ahead, check that one out. Hope you're having a great day. Adios.